The video that you're about to see was recorded a few months ago, and it is still extremely relevant. In fact, it is even more relevant now than when I recorded it, since we've just had now our third judgment by international jurisdictions regarding the actions of Israel in Gaza. So when I recorded the video, initially the International Court of Justice had just issued a preliminary judgment at the request of South Africa. And now we've just had, at a few days interval, the request by the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court to indict Benjamin Netanyahu and his defense minister, Yoav Gallant. And right after that, the second judgment by the International Court of Justice, giving the injunction to the state of Israel to stop its military operations in Gaza. So I didn't immediately release the videos at the time because there's a timing to everything, and I have a whole bunch of videos that are waiting to be released, which they're going to be in the very near future. But now is obviously the time to release this one. So here it is. Hey guys, I want to talk about that really momentous shift in the geopolitical landscape that is happening at the moment via the the last episode, the most recent episode, is the intervention of the International Court of Justice in The Hague in the whole series of events currently unfolding in the Middle East. We are really living a period like like no other, and you know that there is that biblical text that is called the Apocalypse, and many would claim that we are living in the apocalypse right now, and I would like to bring a little bit of clarity regarding that, because what is the apocalypse? Well, first, it's a text that is more commonly known in the English-speaking world as the Book of Revelation, because that is the literal meaning of the word in Greek, apocalypse. And there is a very, very interesting and, well, revealing manipulation that has been happening around that word, because the much more common meaning that we assign to the word apocalypse is end of the world, world catastrophe, world ending, world disaster. Normally, to qualify that event, if we want to use biblical terms, we would need to call that Armageddon. Because the Battle of Armageddon is supposed to be the final gigantic battle between the forces of good and evil, and an extremely destructive battle. So it's a phenomenon that is extremely common. It is distorting the meaning of words in order to manipulate the psyche of humanity. So, according to a Greek friend of mine, the literal meaning of the Greek word apocalypse here is a revelation from the good spirit. So there is a very positive spin on that word in its actual meaning. Now, the apocalypse is so a text, but it is also a process that is the process of revelation. Many call it the lifting of the veil. And what is that veil if not the veil of illusion? The veil of lies, the veil of deception, manipulation, and general lack of awareness and obfuscation, clouding of consciousness that is in the process of being lifted right now. And that process is manifesting itself in many ways, and it is very scary to many people. It fills them with a sense of dread and despair, and yet it is a very necessary process that you could say in its essence is not only the disintegration and dissipation of an old structure of control and power over humanity, but also a disintegration of the ego of humanity itself, its distorted ego. So that can be very scary. It can be very scary. It can look like death. And in a way it is death. It is the death of that distorted ego. And in the process, that distorted ego is, it is scared to death. So that, as I was saying, is manifesting in many ways. You know, in ancient alchemy, they used to call that they used to view that that death process, that disintegration process, as the first stage of the alchemical work, because in its material version, the great work of alchemy is the conversion, the transmutation of lead into gold. But the physical version of alchemy is like a pretext, if you wish, for the inner alchemical process to take place. And the first phase of the great work in alchemy is what the French alchemists were calling œuvre noire, l'œuvre noire. I'm not sure how that translates in the English language. It might be something like the black work, or the dark work, or the work on the black. I don't know. But it's that whole disintegration and dissipation process. In the tarot, in the esoteric tradition of the tarot cards, that would be the tower struck by lightning, the crumbling tower, which symbolizes that disintegration of structures, very sudden and rapid and shocking, traumatic even, with that dissipation of energy that in some versions of the tarot is represented by coins, and of course by the two characters falling down the tower. So that whole planetary process that we are going through right now manifests itself, among other things, in the geopolitical arena. So lots of really momentous changes in that area. And so what's going on right now in the Middle East is really an extremely meaningful change, and I could I could spend 10 videos detailing the implications and the various layers of meaning of what's going on there. So one step at a time, I'll just start with that intervention of the International Court of Justice of the United Nations. And I won't go into the legal details of that. You know, I studied law a long time ago. I have a degree. I have a degree in law, so yeah, I still have some memories of that, and I can discuss things from a legal angle, but that's not what I want to bring on right now. What I want to emphasize is how a certain geopolitical actor located in the Middle East has asserted itself very strongly as a conqueror, a brutal conqueror, and a colonizer, and has committed acts of ethnic cleansing, has attacked its neighbors, and many people would oppose, contradict what I'm saying now, saying, no, it's not like that, that's not how it happened. Everything I'm saying is fully supported by Israeli historians, fully supported. And they have found the archives, they have found all the documents. There is absolutely no way to deny it other than propaganda. So that conqueror, that colonizer, that perpetrator of acts of ethnic cleansing, as we call them now, always presented itself as a victim, which is a very psychopathic thing to do. And you know, all states have psychopathic traits. Basically, all states are psychopaths, but that trait is more emphasized in certain states than in others. And this has always been a very fundamental part of Israeli propaganda and Israeli tactics to present itself as the perpetual victim and to justify its really horrible behavior by the genocide that the Jews had been subjected to in Europe during World War II, and claiming to be the moral inheritor of that event, and always claiming that if it wasn't allowed to do whatever the heck it wanted to do, it would lead somehow to another Jewish genocide. And now, all of a sudden, after 70 years, over 70 years actually, this is just gone, evaporated. That whole narrative, that pretense, and when I say pretense, I don't mean by that the genocide didn't happen. I mean that claiming that the genocide justifies whatever the state does is the pretense. All that to say that this lie that had been very efficient for 70 years, all of a sudden nobody believes it anymore. And that is typical of this process of the apocalypse as a lifting of the veil and a process of revelation that is going on at many different levels. So now it becomes quite obvious that the victim has in fact been the perpetrator all along. And because since this is an extremely contentious subject, and there is an awful lot of misperception and hatred that is revolving around all of this, and so many things would need to be clarified and put into context, and meaning should be elaborated upon. When I say perpetrator, I don't mean the Jewish people, who quite frankly should do everything they can to sever their association with the State of Israel, which is the main driving force for the rise of anti-Semitism these days. It becomes obvious to all that the alleged victim is the perpetrator, and the perpetrator cannot hide itself anymore, because all of its propaganda tools are just broken. And up until these last few months, they were still working quite well. They were still working quite well with a lot of complicity, of course, in state and media actors. But now it is just revealed for what it is. A very crude, aggressive, and quite frankly obnoxious pretense. And it's just one manifestation among many of that process. So it's the end of a period, and it's the end of so many things. It's in many ways it's only beginning, and it's only going to accelerate, and it's going to get really spectacular like this like this landscape here. You can't really properly see the depth of the landscape, because my camera won't properly capture it. But yeah, more about all this later, because it's as I was saying, it's only the beginning, and it's gonna get more and more interesting. So see you around.